I got married in Italy. Am I saying you copied me by getting married in Italy? Who performed at my wedding? You stole my wedding country and my wedding performer.
Sit down for this one. We need to get into the drama swirling around Kim Kardashian, Jeff Bezos, Lauren Sanchez, and yes, Sydney Sweeney's name is floating in this mix too, but we'll get to her later. Did Kim Kardashian just get outplayed, or is there a bigger scheme happening here? Because what I'm about to tell you is wild. Jeff Bezos just dropped the bomb that he's putting $8 billion into the next James Bond movie. And here's the kicker. He's pushing for Lauren Sanchez, his partner, to star as the next Bond girl. And let's be clear, this isn't some sweet suggestion. Sources are saying Bezos is demanding it. He's calling her his muse, and he wants her front and center on that screen. Now, I gotta be real. If I was shelling out $8 billion on a movie, best believe I'd want my face, my partner, or someone close to me shining in the spotlight. Nepotism, collusion, please. It's right here in the open. If you're bankrolling the whole operation, you get to call the shots. And Bezos is doing exactly that. Honestly, part of me gets it. You drop that much money, you want the credits to scream your name. But here's where it gets juicy. What does all this mean for Kim Kardashian? Because Kim has been very vocal over the years about her dream of being a Bond girl. She's talked about it, fantasized about it, and now Bezos swoops in and hands the role straight to Lauren Sanchez? That's not just a missed opportunity. That's a slap in the face to Kim's Hollywood ambitions. Kim has been chasing that Bond girl dream for over a decade, and the receipts don't lie. She first said it back in 2011, then repeated it again in 2024 on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Even when she was wrapped up in that chaotic relationship with Pete Davidson, the man people claim ruined her reputation, she was still talking about wanting to play a Bond girl. Acting wasn't just a side hobby for her, it was the next big step. That's why she dove into projects like American Horror Story. She wanted credibility. She wanted that Bond-level shine. But here's the twist. Kim's old friendship with Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez complicates everything. Don't forget, Lauren literally wore Skims when she blasted off to space. That was a major show of support. Back then, Kim and Lauren were moving like close allies in the same elite circle. But something must have shifted, because it feels like Kim's dreams keep getting handed over to Lauren on a silver platter. And let's be real, when you're in the Bezos orbit, you can't really bark too loud. Jeff is the king of that circle, and everyone else just plays nice. If you step out of line, you're cut off no matter how big your name is, which makes this whole situation even messier. Think about it. Kim Kardashian publicly says she wants to be the next Bond girl. Fast forward, and Jeff Bezos is funneling billions into the Bond franchise, not for Kim, but for Lauren Sanchez, his partner and muse. That's not coincidence, that's power moves. Don't just take my word for it. According to reports, Jeff Bezos is obsessed with casting his wife, Lauren Sanchez, in a major role in Amazon MGM's new James Bond project. That's right. Kim's dream gig has basically been gift-wrapped and handed to someone else. And it's someone she used to call a friend. They're saying this isn't just some fantasy casting rumor. This James Bond reboot is already looking like one of the most controversial projects in Hollywood. A new report claims Amazon boss Jeff Bezos has already locked in on who he wants as the next Bond girl, his brand new wife, Lauren Sanchez. The two tied the knot in June, and now insiders are saying Jeff is flat out obsessed with putting her in a major role. One Hollywood insider even said, he's obsessed! This isn't some playful idea. Jeff wants Lauren on screen, period. And let's not forget, when you've dropped $8 billion, you're not just writing checks. You're writing the script. That number comes straight from what Bezos paid to scoop up MGM Studios in 2021 when Amazon bought the company. That deal gives him massive influence over this reboot. Some reports even hint that both Lauren and Jeff might snag cameo appearances in the movie just to stamp their names in Bond history forever. But here's where things get juicy. This all lines up with the exact same moment Kim Kardashian started making her big push into acting. Remember, it was right around 2021 that Kim began putting real effort into proving she could hold her own as a leading lady. And right around that same time, boom, Jeff Bezos buys up MGM Studios. Almost like the doors she thought she was about to walk through got slammed shut and handed over to Lauren instead. Think about it. Kim's been chasing that Bond girl spotlight for years, and then suddenly Jeff not only buys the studio, but immediately starts shaping the reboot around his wife? That doesn't just feel like business, it feels personal. And the whole point here is clear. Every time Kim moves toward her Hollywood dreams, Bezos and Lauren seem to be right there, grabbing the spotlight first. Did Jeff Bezos just pull a Kardashian on the Kardashians? Think about it. Did he hang around Kim and Kris, soaking up their ideas, their strategies, their future moves, only to flip the script and hand all of it to Lauren Sanchez instead? Because if you know Kris Jenner, you know she's the mastermind behind the Kardashian empire, probably sitting there mapping out plans like, okay, Kim's gonna set up her own studio, she's gonna lock down acting roles, she's gonna run the show, and Jeff's nodding along, acting like, yeah, brilliant idea. Then boom, he turns around and places Lauren in the spotlight that Kim wanted for herself. That's the real sting here. Bezos didn't just invest in MGM for business. He might have snatched up the very opportunities Kim was gunning for. Remember, Kim had been cozying up to Jeff and, by default, to Lauren too. And you have to wonder, how did Lauren feel about that? Because let's be honest, if Kim Kardashian is suddenly buddy-buddy with your billionaire man, that's not gonna sit easy. From the outside looking in, the Kardashians have a reputation for not exactly respecting boundaries in relationships, so Lauren probably clocked that energy quick. And here's the kicker. This all happens while Kim is literally building her own private equity firm, trying to cement her business legacy beyond reality TV. She's making moves, trying to reinvent herself as a power player in Hollywood and finance. But Bezos flips the script before she can even lock it down. Instead of Kim getting the studio spotlight, it's Lauren. Gifted the chance to play Bond girl, gifted the Hollywood clout, gifted the headlines. Let's talk about Sky Partners, remember that? Everyone was asking the same question. Where's Kim getting the money from? Because opening something on that scale takes billions, and Kim simply didn't have that kind of capital lined up. The whispers were loud. People were saying she was banking on a big grant or a massive investment from Jeff Bezos. But guess what? That money never came. And it wasn't just Sky Partners. Behind the scenes, Kim and Kris were also hoping Jeff would pump serious capital into Skims, turning it into a global fashion empire with storefronts everywhere. Imagine Skims shops on every corner. Worldwide domination. Kris was pitching hard, throwing figures, talking about how the underwear industry moves billions, showing off Skims' record-breaking sales. Kim was right there co-signing, and Jeff was nodding along, hyping it up like, yeah, I love it, this is genius. How much do you need me to invest? But here's the twist. Jeff didn't cut that billion-dollar check for Kim. Instead, he turned around and put his money into Sydney Sweeney's camp. That's right. Jeff and his people backed Sydney and her partners to launch their own lingerie line, positioned as the direct answer to Skims. It's being rolled out online, in stores, everywhere. And it's got Jeff's stamp of approval. So let's be clear, Kim and Kris thought they were securing Bezos as their billionaire backer. They laid out the blueprint, handed over the playbook, and instead of investing in Kim, Jeff used that exact same strategy to push another woman to the front. Sydney Sweeney's lingerie line is basically the Skims 2.0 Kim thought she was building with Bezos, except it's not hers anymore. That's not just losing an investor. That's having your own billion-dollar idea flipped and handed to someone else. This is now the second time in a row Kim Kardashian wanted something big, Kris Jenner was plotting behind the scenes, and their so-called friend Jeff Bezos swooped in and handed it to someone else. First, it was that billion-dollar investment Kim thought was going into Skims. Jeff redirected it to Sydney Sweeney's lingerie line. Now, it's the $8 billion Bond reboot. And instead of Kim landing the dream role she's chased for years, the spotlight is shining on Lauren Sanchez. Look at the timing. Jeff buying MGM Studios in 2021 happened right when Kim was testing the waters of acting, exploring projects, and trying to position herself as more than just reality TV. She was lining herself up for the Hollywood transition, and then suddenly Bezos shows up with his checkbook, his power, and his new wife taking the very part Kim's been speaking into existence since 2011. Coincidence? Maybe. But honestly, it feels way too deliberate. And here's where it gets messier. Kim doesn't look like the same woman she was when she first split from Kanye. Back then, she was glowing with confidence, bragging about being in bigger rooms, talking about how she was leveling up into circles where the real money flows. But now, that swagger has faded. She thought she was securing billionaire backing, Hollywood opportunities, and industry respect. Yet the money, the power, and the projects all seem to have slipped right through her fingers. Meanwhile, Sánchez has leveled up in real time, going from Bezos' fiance to his wife, from background player to Bond girl contender, from +1 to star of the show. And the optics? They make Kim look like she got outmaneuvered in her own game. At this point, Kim is just out in the cold, and every plan, every idea she thought was hers has been handed off. Some went to Sánchez, and the rest straight to Sydney Sweeney. Now, some reports are whispering that Lauren isn't too happy about Sydney stepping into this space, but honestly, I don't buy that. If it came down to choosing between one Sydney Sweeney or an entire Kardashian lineup, Lauren would probably take Sydney every time. Because let's be real, the Kardashians always look like they're chasing the next bag. Kim, Kendall, Kylie, they all play the same game, switching lanes depending on what's trending. The only ones who don't really fit that mold are Khloe, since she never seems to cut Tristan loose no matter what, and Kourtney, who's living her rock star fantasy with Travis Barker and staying out of the scramble. But Kris Jenner, she's always the general with the playbook, moving her daughters around like a roster, ready to serve up whichever one fits the moment. And here's the kicker. It looks like Jeff Bezos may have flipped the whole script and actually pulled a Kardashian on the Kardashians themselves. Imagine that. The man they thought was their billionaire ally turned around, scooped up their ideas, and handed them to his wife and to Sydney Sweeney instead. If that's not a Hollywood plot twist, I don't know what is. But what do you think? Did Jeff Bezos really out-Kardashian the Kardashians? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to NoFilter. We drop daily celebrity gossip videos every single day. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a new upload. Like, share, comment, and I'll see you in the next one right here at NoFilter.